If you're anything like me, when you first started your filmmaking journey, you would be watching some of your favorite filmmakers or maybe some of your favorite filmmaking YouTubers, and you would be thinking, man, how did they get their footage to look so good? Well, in this video, I'll be going over some small things that we can do that will greatly improve the look of our shots. This is Camp Films. I'm still trying to work on and improve my craft every day, but over the last few years, I've learned that it's the little things that cinematographers and filmmakers can do that are really going to set their work aside from amateurs. And today I wanted to go over those small things with you in hopes that we can all learn from and get closer to that film look that we're all going for. Achieving a cinematic looking image really starts before you ever even turn on the camera. We have to know first what kind of look we're going for, what kind of mood we're going for, the location we're going to be shooting in, what's the lighting in the location, and even little things like the wardrobe that our subject or actors might be wearing really all come together to create that cinematic image. We have to ask ourselves, are we going for those moody blues of a David Fincher film, or are we going for some kind of warm 70s style drama? Do we want soft shadows, hard shadows? These are all questions that we have to ask ourselves before we ever even turn the camera on. When you first start planning out your shots, it's really good to maybe take a step back and think about tone, color, mood, wardrobe, makeup, hair, lighting, location. And once you have all of those questions answered, maybe you can look up some reference shots from something that closely resembles the look and tone that you're going for. Once you have those reference shots of something you would like to get close to or try to recreate, you need to study them. What's the framing and composition like? Where's the light coming from? What sort of wardrobe is the character wearing? And what are the dominant colors that are in the scene? This first step can be achieved without costing you any money, and it's one of the most important things you can do before you turn on the camera. It's also going to be a good way to start training your eye of what to look for when you have the camera on and you're starting to plan out your shot. I've said this on the channel before, but I think that lighting is everything. And we really don't have to have expensive lighting setups to get really spectacular and cinematic results. Some of the best shots that I've ever captured were just using a window as my main light source and maybe some negative fill or blackout curtains on one side of the subject to help give more shadows on the face. When you first come into the location you're going to be shooting in, study where the natural light sources are coming from. Then you can start thinking about where you might want to place a practical in the scene, or if you need to add some extra lighting, or if you're going to be using negative fill. Even if you don't use any lights, don't just place your subject in front of the window and just hope for the best. Taking the extra time to create some negative fill on your subject's face or placing a practical in the scene and creating some motivated lighting are the little things that are going to help separate our work from others. If we're shooting outside, we can try to shoot in golden hour or blue hour, or if the sunlight is too harsh, we can just throw up a white sheet in between our subject and the sun to help soften that harsh sunlight. We can also block light with a piece of cardboard to create negative fill on our subject's face, or we can do things like bounce the sunlight off a piece of white foam board, for instance, to help improve our shots as well. The point of saying all this is, don't just walk into a location, tell your subject to stand in front of a window and start shooting. Don't accept the light that's already there. You need to shape it, control it, and harness it to get a better cinematic result. That's another small step that you can take to become a better filmmaker or cinematographer. Let's talk about camera movement and framing. Cinematic movement usually feels intentional, and you don't necessarily need a gimbal or a dolly to get that effect. You can start by using the rule of thirds to frame your subject, and be sure to pay attention to things like headroom, symmetry, the foreground, and the background. You can use leading lines to help draw the attention of your viewer to the subject. And you can place objects in the foreground or let other actors pass in front of the foreground, or things like cars, to help add visual interest to your shot. And they'll add depth as well. And if you're looking to create smooth motion in your shot, but you can't afford a gimbal or a dolly, you can try putting your camera on a towel or a skateboard or a rolling chair and moving your camera that way through the scene. Be sure to use slow, confident movements. Or if you're anything like me and you like still shots, you can lock your camera down and try to make it look as much like a painting as possible. And you can always add fake camera movement in post-production later on if you'd like to. One of the easiest ways to make something feel a little bit more cinematic is adding depth to your shot. We're talking about foreground, midground, and background. Don't just place your subject up against a blank wall and call it a day. It's going to look really flat and unprofessional. Always try to pull your subject away from the background to add depth, and then you can place something in the foreground like a plant, door frame, or a curtain that's really going to add that depth to your shot. Even if your lens isn't good enough to give you really great shallow depth of field, we can still add layers to our composition in the foreground, midground, and background that are really going to help improve and sell our shots. I have just a few more tips to go over with you for getting that film look, but first I want to tell you about today's video sponsor, WriteBlogger. As a filmmaker and business owner, I'm constantly struggling between finding time to create content and promoting my content and my business. Ever since I started using an online tool called WriteBlogger, I've been able to create content even faster. Things like video descriptions for my YouTube videos, content for my website, and promotional campaigns to help reach my audience. WriteBlogger has over 70 tools to help you create smarter and work faster. And one of my favorite features is their video to blog tool, where I can just upload my YouTube video and it will create a stunning blog post in seconds using my voice. And they just updated that tool with even more features so you can upload podcasts, add external links, and even more. If you're looking to create your next film pitch, create an awesome product description, or just promote your next short film online, WriteBlogger has all the tools you need ready to go, no guesswork. And if writing isn't your thing, WriteBlogger can help you sound more professional when you're dealing with potential collaborators or investors. I really appreciate WriteBlogger because it lets me focus on telling stories, which is what I love to do, and I can let WriteBlogger handle all the other boring stuff. You can check out WriteBlogger for free by following the link in the description below. Set design may at first sound like something that only big budget films are going to worry about, but I assure you, you should be paying attention to your set design right now. When you first step into the location you're going to be shooting in, clean the frame up, take everything out, and start adding things back in exactly where you need them to create visual interest in the shot. Be sure to remove clutter like my bookshelf back here and try to arrange elements a little bit more sparsely. A practical lamp, a specifically colored blanket, and coordinating the color of your actor's wardrobe with the background are going to go a long way with your set design. These details are all going to stack up and give you a more polished and professional look. The best tip that I can think of for set design is to limit your color palette. I've found that if a scene has 3 or fewer dominant colors, it instantly looks more professional. And this is going to be true in photography, painting, and filmmaking. All right, let's talk camera settings. You can shoot cinematic footage with any camera, and that includes your mobile phone, but you have to be able to control your settings. Always check these settings before you hit record. Be sure to lock down your shutter speed and double your frame rate. If you're shooting in 24 FPS, be sure to lock your shutter speed down to 148. Keep your ISO setting low or to your camera's native ISO to reduce noise and get the best looking image. If your camera allows for it, shoot in a flat or log color profile. This is going to give you better flexibility when you're color grading in post. Even just taking the time to set your focus and exposure manually is going to set you a little bit above those who just rely on auto for everything. Here's something that I wish I knew early on, and that's that bad sound is going to make even the best visuals feel cheap. Sound is so important to making us create more believable and cinematic images. If your audio is echoey or staticky or full of background noise, your viewers are instantly going to feel uncomfortable and like you're wasting their time. Make sure you're capturing clean audio for any dialogue. Your overall mix is well balanced. Record your audio separately if you can, and take the time to add believable sound effects to your shots as well. It's all these little things that are really going to add up and matter. Let's quickly talk about color grading. Even if you can't afford to buy expensive LUTs, you can still color grade everything manually. This is where we're going to bring back up those reference shots we were talking about earlier, pull them up in our editor, and try to get our colors as close as possible to the shots that we know we already like. Depending on the shot, we can bring down our highlights a bit, lift the shadows. Depending on the look, we can add contrast or warmth, or make the shot look colder depending on the mood we're going for. If you're not sure where to start with color grading, I have a more detailed video here on the channel that you can watch, and it will walk you through my entire color grading process. I'll put a link to that video in the description for you. Sometimes the key to getting a really beautiful cinematic look is just to do less. Avoid over sharpening your images and don't over crank the saturation. If you wind up feeling like your shot is too flat or boring, don't panic. Just take a step back, refer back to your reference images, then try to adjust your lighting, your composition, your actor's wardrobe, and the dominant colors in your images before you start blaming your gear. Lastly, and this is the most important tip of all, and one that I try to remind myself of every time I make a video, and that is to practice. Every time you shoot a new project, take stills from that project and compare them to your previous work. See if you can figure out what went wrong or what went great if they look good, and try to recreate or not recreate those same issues. Pay attention to what's missing, what feels different, and how you achieve the look that you got. When you look at the images that you've captured that you're proud of, you'll start to notice patterns in your work and things that you keep doing that are working well. That's how we're going to grow and improve as cinematographers. Be sure to take those reference images from some of your favorite films or scenes that you're trying to duplicate and continuously try to set up your shots and recreate some of those images, so when you're on set, you know exactly what needs to be done to pull off a look that's similar. Like I said in the beginning of this video, the film look or the cinematic look isn't something that we can achieve with just one simple trick or better gear. It's a dozen small decisions that are going to be layered together with intention. They're going to help bring your work above all the rest. And I know that you're fully capable of learning and implementing all these tricks to improve your footage. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe if you're not already. And if you're looking for a great guide that you can refer to every time you're getting ready to set up a shot, so you always have a reference of the best settings and compositions, you can check out my Filmmaker's Field Guide on the Camp Film store. It's a collection of over 60 guides, cheat sheets, and references that help filmmakers just like us get the best results before we ever hit record. It's super visual and it's something that I wish I had access to when I first started. But even if you don't check that out, just start applying the things that we've talked about today and I guarantee you they will improve your footage. Achieving the film look is in your reach. It just takes time to do the little things that others aren't willing to do that's going to help separate your footage from all the rest. Big thanks to our newest channel members, God King Consciousness, Kelly Davis, Greg Swars, Ramal Luindala, Sharon Nelson, and David Coles. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel on a monthly basis. It means the world to me. If you're interested in becoming a channel member and getting access to exclusive content, behind the scenes footage, members only posts, and more, just click the join button at the channel header to find out more. Another big thanks to today's video sponsor, Right Blogger. It really is a fantastic service. Be sure to check those guys out and tell them that Ryan sent you. It's a big way to help support the channel. Thank you guys so much for coming along on this filmmaking journey with me. I am Ryan, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.